Hello everybody, it's Phil the Miniature Model Maker, waiting for YouTube to say I've gone live. Here we are. We are live. Alright, so what am I doing today? I am going to sit here at my desk as long as I possibly can and get as much progress done on these blasted tau as I can make myself. There we go. Okay. So right now we are base coating. I have 10 breachers and I can't see with my thingamajiggers on. There we go. 6, 2, 3. Where's the other one? There you are. 6 of these guys. And I did a little bit of work earlier getting some of the base coats on feet. So that's what I'm going to continue with. And we'll go ahead and move this forward just a little bit so we can keep better track of squads, what I've done. There we go. You guys need to go off over here. And here's the point that the other Pathfinder squads are currently at. On these guys, that means I need to get the hooves done and any belts and things on their legs taken care of. Clean up any gold. But yeah, we're kind of close. Not too terribly far. So yeah, that's what we will do. And once I've got all of these up to the same state that the other Pathfinders are on, we'll move on to a bigger group getting more things done on them. And it's October 13th. All right. We're going to use the vortexer. This is thick stuff. And the delay on this drives me nuts. And it's not even on slow mode. That might be too much, might be enough. We'll find out. Okay. My glasses in the right. Okay. Get my water. Mix that up. Because this this paint is old and it's getting kind of dry. Nearing the end of its useful life, maybe. This requires a lot of thinning. Yeah, and because I'm still on my base coats, I'm not being terribly worried about neatness. I just want to get that coat down. I can always gonna come back, do a second pass. Got to put the shade on it. Yep, there's a little mistake there. That's fine. I can put more brown down. That's the least of my worries. This is an army painting project. I'm not trying to get super high level paint jobs done. I just want to get them to the basic standard that I've set for the project. Otherwise, I'll drive myself nuts. That's a little thin. Oh well, no biggie. Hope you are doing well today, folks. And I believe I'm going to use this as my Workbench Wednesday video equivalent, because I just was watching through some YouTube how-tos and forgot about the 24 to 48 hour thing that YouTube likes. You know, upload your video, let it sit unseen for 48 hours so the algorithm can crunch it and analyze it. And that means that I have to have things recorded well in advance. And those of you who know me know I don't really do that sort of planning. And I should, because looking at my analytics, there was one video. It was the third Stillmania video that I did upload well ahead of time. And the views on that, the impressions on that were all much higher. And I have a couple things, excuse me, a couple things on the dock that I could upload, or that have been on YouTube for quite a while. I've got a hour and a half long Chaos Space Marine overview, Stillmania overview, kind of like I did for the Tau, but for people who will be coming in and want to see the Chaos Space Marine stuff. Because I know not everybody comes in for one type of content and sticks around to follow all the other stuff. I mean, I don't always like watching other people's Space Marine videos. If there's a faction out there I don't really want to see, I don't usually watch it. Might go through, give it a like, a comment, and watch it long enough for YouTube to register the engagement, which I think is probably in the end most important. So as long as other people are getting that from me, I feel all right about not watching things for factions I'm not a big fan of. But after having started YouTube and Twitch, I have a much better understanding of the struggle, the engagement struggle, and how much those likes and comments actually mean. And it really takes no time, and if there's a subject that I'm not a huge fan of, then I'll just sit there and write a comment while it's playing, not really pay attention. Well, hey visitor, your average view duration 9 minutes. Wow. But no concurrent viewers, no chat. Huh? How is that working? Is something weird going on? Hey, if there's somebody here watching this, would you please just type something in the comments, even if it's just a one or a star or something, because I'm seeing a view duration that's been the duration of the whole thing so far, and I don't think I'm watching it. I don't have any extra YouTube windows open. Do I? That's really strange. No, it's just that one window. Huh. Well, I guess I'm not going to complain too much, but it's weird. Ghost engagement, spooky month. So yeah, speaking of engagement and all that, it really does help. And I understand that my audio visual quality is not always great. Oh yeah, I need to check that too. Last time I did one of these, we had kind of a... Okay, the webcam's off and it's just my mic. Alright, for some reason, it looked like YouTube had um, something weird going on with my audio last time, and there was a kind of a background white noise when I watched it back. Let me know if you're um, getting that as well. I haven't done a YouTube live video in ages, and may need to change my settings. It's got a concurrent viewer? That's weird. Okay, what am I doing? I need to get these guys. I love these magnifying glasses that I have, but they also make it hard to see when it's not a couple of inches in front of me. So viewers, what's your army? What's your main army? If you had to pick only one army that you have, one force that you've got, no matter how big or how small, what would it be? If somebody held a gun to your head and said you can only pick one and the rest have to go away or else you're going to no longer be with us, which would it be? I'm not gonna lie, I am torn between the Chaos Space Marines and Tau. I love my Tau, and I enjoy playing them when they're not super good, but it's always those times when they are good that the Tau hate comes out even stronger. And having to deal with other people's bullshit regarding the army really makes me not want to take it to a store to play. Chaos Space Marines are a lot easier to handle. People don't usually give you the load of crap that you get for bringing in the blue-skinned communist fishmen, right? Especially if you're going on CSM without crazy meta lists and things. Although being word bearers, I do have gotten Erebus comments and things like that. But I think that's more well-intentioned teasing than the actual, the more malicious stuff that I've gotten for the Tau. Not gonna lie though, it's good having two armies so I can play one. If one army's doing really well, I can switch to the other one, and vice versa. Yeah, I'm not. I know it's a. I know it's a intentional handicap, but I would rather not deal with eye rolls and snarky comments from people for playing something that's good in the moment than and enjoy a game than to just have that one thing, that one army that's really good in the really good in the moment, and be considered and called fair weather player, meta chaser, all that stuff. Because people don't seem to realize just how much words affect other people. Especially when their main army has a reputation, and they didn't, especially even more so that they didn't know about that when they got into it. Like, I just liked Tao and Dawn of War. They're neat. They look cool. I like my army's story. I just want to have some lighthearted fun playing my guys on the tabletop. Okay, so this is really strange. 18 and a half minutes, so we're 10 seconds less view. Is there somebody in there in incognito mode? Which you probably wouldn't answer if you are. Maybe. I don't know. I don't know. It's just strange. Okay, there's that done. Is there any skin on anybody else I need to go back and check skin on everyone else? Do that second coat. Get the front. here, I'm I'm just going through getting the higher areas. It's not really highlighting per se, just making the areas that people might see more that aren't in shadows or recesses a little bit more opaque. Using lighting to my advantage. There we are, one viewer, average view duration, a minute and 38 seconds. It just took a while to register. That's better. I feel less GD that way. Yeah, when army painting, if you don't have to paint it or one coat will suffice, do it. Don't don't waste your time on getting everything just so. For army painting specifically. The army painting being just what it sounds like, getting an painted army. Now, if you aren't really interested in playing and you want to do your very best on all your models and take the years required to do it, hell yeah, enjoy the process, my friend. But if you think you might want to play, kind of like me, where I don't really play, but I may want to play in the future, which is why I'm painting these up, just get them to tabletop standard, whatever that means for you, because you can always come back and add more. That's the wonderful thing about minis. The wonderful thing about minis are wonderful things. Their tops are made out of plastic. Their bottoms are made out of springs. Great thing about minis is you can always put more paint on them, highlight them up some more, get them to a better point at any point in the future. So getting a basic coat down, basic color scheme where you're satisfied with the basic color scheme is all you need to do. Then you can take them to stores or wherever and not have concern about unpainted minis. And even if you play a game once every couple months, well, what can you do in that time in between games? Detailing. That wonderful, lovely detailing. I missed a bunch of parts on this guy. Oh, now I gotta move it here. Hold on a second, folks. Why am I not in? That's weird. Like for me, because I'm making heavy use of enamels as part of the paint scheme, not just a wash um, or weathering, I can get away with basically doing a single base coat on things like the skin and the guns, because I spent more time on the armor. Yeah, for these guys, the stuff that's getting the most time is the armor and the cloth. Everything else is just getting the basic one coat, one color. I mean, the skin's going to get a little bit more too, but not a whole huge amount more. I really should do a video showing how I paint all these, my paint scheme and everything. That'll be helpful for me to remember. And if anybody wants to do things how I'm doing it, they can. Did I get everything on his foot? Yeah. So why did I put marathon down? Well, because when I'm filming painting, I have to be in a somewhat uncomfortable posture that usually limits my time, but I want to get these guys done done so much that I'm going to try and force myself to sit here as long as I possibly can today, and if I can knock them all out, that would be great. Ooh, some of these got really nice coats. Hey viewers, concurrent viewers, 3, hello hello, how's it going? Can you see everything all right? Is the audio okay? My system is set up for Twitch, and that gives that's slightly different overall stuff than YouTube. So I want to make sure that I'm not like really bad audio visual. But I can't tell unless you tell me. So your input is appreciated. Now I have the Tigger song from Winnie the Pooh in my head. There we go. Is there anybody over here in the box that could use a little bit of skin? While I have the blue out. Nope. Alright, we're good there. Alright, so what's the next color I should be working on? Black, I think, will be the next. That'll let me do hooves. Hey, everything's fine, just enjoying watching. What number army is this? This is army number 1. This is the first army I've collected. I've got an army overview video under the 10th Seal'th Sept playlist that talks about everything. It's rather long. It goes into Steelmania, the history of the army, the lore of the army, how I got into Warhammer and all of that. I put that up as the entrance beginning to the September project. You know, orcs have their Orktober and all that, and September. I was very, very sad to see almost no Tau people doing September videos. So I was like, screw it. I'm gonna do it. And I've been sticking with it since. So it is my first army, and I was a good boy and stuck with it. I didn't buy anything else. I just got Tau until the Secret Santa event at the store the year I got into it. Somebody got me the Chaos Space Marines Start Collecting box. And with the Master Possession, the Venom Crawler, and all that stuff, the really good one. And that sent me down the path to heresy as well. Not Horus Heresy, just heresy. They're my word bearers army. So I got 2 big armies and a couple small ones. My wife enjoyed painting Custodes, so I used that opportunity to quote-unquote get her models to paint, which really was building another army. So I've got a small Custodes army as well, and then a 12-man Terminator squad for boarding patrol that are loyalists, relictors. But from a model count perspective, Tau are by far my largest army. I don't know how they are on points though. I ran them through Battlescribe a week or 2 ago, and it was a whole lot less than what it was originally. So CSM might actually be my highest point army. And I've been accumulating everything, Christmases, birthdays, off and on since 2019, but I've never really gotten to the point where I was like, okay, this is the color scheme, this is the lore, this is all of that. to sit down and have the motivation to really put time into the painting and all that. So narrative is important to me. That's really what drives the painting part of it. I enjoy assembling the kits is one thing because I can just sit there and enjoy building something, but color scheme is so, especially with the Tau, is so dependent on Sept and or the environment of the world they're based on and everything, and that that took me a long time. And it just kind of came out of nowhere. I ended up watching a lore video about space hulks on a channel that the way the story went, and I'm unfortunately thinking that's an AI channel now. Oh, you went away. Bye bye, guys. Thanks for stopping by. And I need to. Can I change these settings here? Chat scrolling from the top instead of bottom. Concurrent viewers 3. Just a moment, folks. I'm trying to see if I can. No, I don't. Can't do that easily. Not used to chat scrolling from the bottom. Well, so since there are people here, I'll continue with the story. That I ended up finding a lore channel that was talking about space hulks, and one in particular kind of piqued my interest. And turns out it was in the Jericho Reach. So I was like, all right, well, let's look what's the lore for the Jericho Reach. Turns out it was the setting for Fantasy Flight's Death Watch tabletop RPG. And it had Tau in it. I was like, oh, oh, oh boy, okay, awesome. And and there was there's a jungle world there which fit with my initial thinking about their lore being on a forest world. So I grew up in a fairly forested part of the country and wanted that to kind of be the homage to my homeland. So that was a win. And then there were significant Chaos Space Marine involvement. I'm like, ooh, okay. And that kind of fit with the story of my CSM army too. So I was like, oh, this is pretty awesome. So now all of my armies have a cannon tie to the Jericho Reach. And that really sealed the deal. It all kind of makes sense now. So last month I got 500 points painted. Was 10 fire warriors, 2 broadsides, 2 piranhas, and 3 stealth suits. Which for me was a lifetime record. The painting I have done was either to a very, very, very low standard, just barely tabletop if you're being generous, um, to trying out my airbrush that was new to me at the time for a community project, or doing a single piece to the highest standard I can. This is this is the first time I've given like truly serious effort into army painting. Oh, Kitty needs up on the bed. Just a moment. Hi, buddy. What? You want ups? You want ups? You want to get fur on my hands? That's what it is, isn't it? There you are. There you are. You okay? He's an old, old man. Almost 17. And hi. Hi. He's showing his age. Alright, where was I? Ooh, I don't want. No. So, yeah, that was the basic story. You'll have to go watch the Army overview video for the rest of it. But with oh, well, nobody's here. But recent problems with GW have kind of prompted me to just get everything done. Get everything painted, get everything off my plate, off my list. Don't make any more content for them. Because I don't at all support their current business practices. And it's kind of a tough spot for content creators these days. They may have moral objections, but Warhammer is what brings in the views. So if it's their livelihood, kind of stuck between a rock and a hard place. And I'm working my way through that labyrinth as well. And the best way I think I can do that is just to get it done. But that means I've got a whole lot of models to paint. A whole lot. So far, the biggest thing I've done has been a broadside. It's going to be interesting when I get to the hammerheads, the riptides, even the commanders. Well, okay, hold on a second. I just forgot something that was directly in front of my face. I do have this guy as well on the docket to be painted. Because once I get this group done, I think I'll be just at a really close to 1,000 points. And a Ghostkeel's a good, decent sized suit for a 1,000 point army, I think. Oh, boy, do I have opinions. Yes, yes. Um, which the one I've really only paid attention to the Chaos Space Marines and the Tau and Sylvaneth. So the Tau box I think is awesome. I mean, I haven't had to buy a Tau model in a long time, so I all I know is the Crisis suits are ridiculously expensive now, and I think you get three. What's in the box? It's a Farsight, a Broadside, and three Crisis suits. Um, I think that Battle Force, the Battle Force boxes in general, I think have moved away from being things that are okay for people who are already invested in the game to buy and are designed more to help people who have like a combat patrol and want to boost their army, um, and to move product that GW wants off their shelf. So, if I were interested in playing Farsight, I would be a lot more interested in the Tau Combat Patrol. But for somebody who's getting into Farsight, I think it's good, if for no other reason than the crisis suits. The Chaos Space Marine box, I want it. I want it. Um, I've got everything in it in multiples except for the Lord Discordant, and the having that guy would kind of round out my entire force, and that extra unit of Havocs would be good. And Legionnaires are never bad to have, or the Rhino even, because my CSM army is pretty infantry heavy. So having a couple Rhinos would not be un would be useful for my army, because I got two of the 2019 battle forces, which were very similar to this one. It was a Rhino. Um, no, it was a Terminator Lord or Sorcerer, a squad of Terminators, a squad of Havocs, a five of Legionnaires, and a Rhino. And I mean, that was beautiful at the time. Um, and if the current CSM, because it's got the Venom Crawler and the Obliterators in it too, and the Disco Lord, I think it's a good deal. If you can get it and you've got Chaos Space Marines or thinking about getting into them, get it. Um, yeah, I mean, it just in general, Battle Force boxes, whether it be the holiday boxes like we're getting now, or the ones when a new force comes out, it's clear. And GW's business model is recruitment. I don't know if you ever saw the video on the painting phase, but they had former head of R&D on to talk about, and he talked about some really interesting and fundamental concepts that that I used to work in the aquarium industry, home aquarium industry. You know, if you have an aquarium, you have to buy supplies and chemicals and things for it. So he talked about the hobby trumpet. You know, you've got the broad open here, and then it narrows down into that. This is the starting point where everybody comes in. They don't know anything about it, they don't know better. But as time passes and they get involved in the hobby, they learn about new paints and other things and new technologies and other stuff that gets them away from GW. So there's a point in a hobbyist life cycle where they're no longer useful to GW. They may buy something here and there, but they're not spending large amounts of money because they're either have what they want or they're buying things elsewhere. So their business model is recruitment because it's this section of the hobby trumpet where it's the most broad where people still spend money. And that's what their battle force boxes are for now. Combat patrol boxes and battle forces are there to get people just enough, get them that taste, like, ooh, okay, I'm excited, I'm excited, I'm excited. They build hype, but they're not well designed for people who are already invested, because they're already invested. Even if they want to start a new army, they know to go to eBay, they know to go to a 3D printer or whatever, and may not spend as much money on GW plastic. I'm occasionally buying bits, but I'm mostly looking into other models like 3D prints. I got my first resin tank last week. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And that's a stage in every hobbyist's life. Like even in the aquariums, you know, you buy, say you keep African Rift Lake cichlids. They require water that has a certain chemistry, a certain calcium, magnesium, and sodium content to replicate their natural environment. Well, all right, when you first start, you go and buy blah blah brands Rift Lake salts. Okay, that's cool. Then you realize you can buy calcium chloride de-icer, magnesium sulfate Epsom salts, and sodium chloride by the pound at the grocery store or the pharmacy, and you start making your own. It's the exact same premise. Um, you know, even me, um, because I am very particular about how my army looks, about having a consistent aesthetic, and I am very particular about how models are assembled. I've tended to buy brand new GW plastic for my stuff because I assemble it to my standard, and I know that a fire warrior is going to look like a fire warrior is going to look like a fire warrior if I buy this fire warrior kit. It's cost me more money in the past, uh, or cost my relatives money for gifts, but that's the trade-off that I've accepted for my Warhammer hobby. Um, but people who are faster builders, faster painters, who are more interested in playing the game and need things with a higher turnover of things, totally. Third party supplies of whatever they may be, recasts, 3D prints, bits. That's the way to do it. Or if you don't care as much about mold lines and gaps and things, then eBay. My as far as me and my modeling and hobby is concerned, I take this as it's a lifetime project. I don't play enough, or when I played, I didn't play enough to need thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of points. What I had was good enough, and my buddy and I didn't care about painted models. Um, so I can take my time with it and enjoy the process of it. But that also makes it easier in a way that, okay, if there is something that comes out like those new stealth suits, and those new that new Raptor and Warp Talent kill team. Oh my gosh. Um, I can wait for Christmas or birthday to come by and be like, hey, relative, would you please grab me this box? Um, and getting back to your original question about battle forces and things, I think they have value for a lot of people. Maybe you don't need all of the models in there, but you could probably use most of them. Cool, get it, get it. If it's when they're putting multiple named characters like Fulgrim and Farsight in it, like yeah, that's clearly either cashing in on the popularity of someone like Farsight or trying to move Fulgrim models because the cost of that one kit alone is the majority of the Battle Force box. Like I went to my one of my local stores. So there are two of them here in my town. One's fairly old and tends to buy heavily. They've got like 8 of the Emperor's Children combat patrols just sitting up on a shelf, and a bunch of older boxes as well. So I could see if and that's how I really ended up with the majority of my Chaos Space Marine force. So I moved right after that Christmas, came here, saw the store, saw those battle forces. I'm like, yep, they're mine. But thinking of getting the Krieg one, I'm definitely gonna take the hobby more at my pace though. Um, yes, that is important. Um, that very very important. I recently, a couple months ago, back I guess back in August, um, discovered Stillmania, and a former GW employee, Nigel Stillman, wrote some articles, and it's all about how to collect armies thematically. and ignoring the meta, ignoring the win at all cost. He brought up a really good point. What's the majority of time spent doing Warhammer stuff? Is it playing the game, or is it building and painting your army? I'd say, and he said it's like 90% building and painting your army. So take it at your pace. The hobby of it is the majority of Warhammer, at least from the tabletop perspective, rather than say the books or video games. So I believe and agree with Nigel that having an enjoyable hobbying experience, your building, your painting, your basing, and all of that is the most important aspect of the hobby. If you're always worried about hype and FOMO and meta, you're setting yourself up for disappointment. Why are so many people dissatisfied with Warhammer these days? Because the rules suck? Because releases come way too fast? Because changes happen on almost on a weekly basis? Definitely quarterly? You change additions, maybe your army's invalidated, or parts of your army are invalidated. If you don't care about your army, if you don't care about the painting and building and hobbying and aren't deriving the majority of your Warhammer joy from this, the building and painting of it, you're setting yourself up for huge disappointment. Was that a subscription somewhere? Thank you very much. I would argue that a lot of us started playing because we started for the hobby. Pamplemousse, yes, yes, grapefruit. I totally 100%. That's why I got into it. I needed a sedentary hobby. I was recovering from a major illness and needed something to do that was away from my computer. And there ended up being a Warhammer store in town. So I took the wife up there, and I remembered, my days as a kid building and painting BattleTech and D&D minis, and I didn't really get into Warhammer until much, much later in life. Um, but it was all about the building and the painting of it, the hobbying of it. I could care less about the game. But I know a lot of people these days do care a lot about the game. And if the game is important to them, they rightly should care about the state of the game. But you can't forget the hobby. Yep. Well, let me show you something else that you can do. Do you like building really intricate, detailed little things? Something that you can like really, really hyper focus on? If so, boy, do I have your next drug. Okay. One moment while these dry. This is actually good timing. Gundam Artifact. These are crisis. They're 55 millimeter crisis suit sized little model kits. and they are model kits. Roughly that size. They're 50 to 90 parts, not the 5 or 6 part. So this is the Assemble, Gundam Assemble, and that's the tabletop game, which is very different from these guys. And we'll get back to the Tau in just a minute. I need to let stuff dry. Um, but they're ridiculously detailed little kits. So these are the legs for this guy. They're little plastic model kits with detail better than GW is doing even now. And they're roughly $7 a piece for the new ones. But all these little black lines, that's a panel line that I've gone through, etched out, scribed out, used tools to clean up, and then ink. And they come in. Do I have an open one? Here we go. Yeah. So 4 to 7 sprues. So if you want a little model kit that you can take time, lots and lots and lots and lots of time just enjoying when you need a break from your Warhammer, highly recommend Gundam Artifact. They're my kryptonite. I can hyper focus on these to the end of my life. $7 for I could easily spend 80 hours on one of those. All right, let's get back to this. I saw gold flecks somewhere. Somewhere I saw gold. Well, we'll get to the next part. All right, we're going to do more black, but we need the detail brushes for that. And my water went over here. Okay. Time to do belts and things. Fun, fun. So what was your first army? All of you listening? And then of the armies that you have, what are your favorites? Don't we all? Oh, nice, nice, nice. Very cool. Take your time. Enjoy it. Seek out those good deals. Yeah. Yeah, and it was the it was the tanks for me, the hammerheads, that really got me into Tau when I was playing Dawn of War 1 back in the day. Black Templars, do you have any theme for it, or is it just Black Templars? The first person I played games against ran guard, and that was a whole heck of a lot of fun. Tau versus guard is a really fun matchup. And he ended up giving me a bunch of bits. So I've got random parts off tanks and things on the bases for my bigger suits and stuff. I think this might be off of a, oh, I forget what it's called. But that's an Imperial Guard bit there. I have no shame about doing that. It helped. It was a lot of fun. We had a great narrative campaign, and I was sad that I had to move. Doing a pretty heavily mechanized infantry thing, lots of sword bros transport, and Rep X. What are the Rep X? Diversity of guard is really fun. All armies deserve updates more. The the only army that doesn't deserve an update are Space Marines. This, especially Ultramarines, they've had enough for a while. Give either if you're gonna update Space Marines, update the specialty factions like the Black Templars and the Blood Angels and all that stuff. But then give the other guys some time too. I understand, it's almost a self-fulfilling prophecy point now with Space Marines. They're making more Space Marine kits because they sell better, but they sell better because they have a whole lot more options. They're creating their own demise, so to speak. If you updated, Drukari, I think that seems the Dark Eldar. That seems to be a big issue going around. Maybe people would buy into it more. It is. I mean, It, I don't know if maybe vicious might not be the right word, but catch 22, self fulfilling prophecy. It's a feedback loop of some kind for sure. And I get that they're trying to capitalize on Space Marine 2 because, like I said, recruitment. People play the video game like, oh, hey, I want to try this Warhammer thing. Boop, 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 newbie bucks, newbie bucks. But that just alienates so many other people. And why do they care? They've already got their money, right? They've already bought the armies. They're not spending as much money. But goodwill does count for a lot. Goodwill is a currency just as much as cash. It's one that you earn a lot slower but spend faster, you know? I would be a whole lot more inclined to continue making Warhammer purchases if I had more goodwill towards GW. You know, and it's like that with other hobbies that I've been in. If a company has, for me, built up goodwill, I will give the money to them instead. But yeah, those new stealth suits. Oh my goodness! When they came out with those, I about fell over. Part of my army is a Primaris Repulsor Executioners. Thank you, thank you. I am not hip to the Space Marine lingo. But as I was talking about my own army, I've got a dedicated reconnaissance cadre, and when I saw those stealth suits, I was like, oh my gosh, if I get those, 2 boxes of those, and then 2 boxes of the Pathfinder kill team, that would make a really cool looking reconnaissance cadre and would be visually distinct from the other stuff, and the current uh, Pathfinders and stealth suits can go be in the other detachments. I saw your comment. Just a moment. Gooby little space goat with funky guns are always neat to see. Broccoli Gaming, yes. I thank you for that. They are they are my space goats, which I was just talking about. WoW, or a friend was talking about WoW to me, and now I'm thinking about Draenei space goats. Damn it! You just ruined Tau for me. That's it. They're gone. No more. But thank you for the comment. I am doing this to capitalize on momentum I built last month, and in a fit of pique to just get it all done and off my desk. Because I've got a lot more to do. If you once this is done, go over check out my channel. I've got a background video on the whole army, showcase of everything that I've got, and then some discussion about how I am going forward with getting everything painted. So I've got roughly 5,500 points, which back when I started in what, like 8th, was close to 7,000. So I've got a lot of models to paint, and more reason to get them done. Not the least of which is so I can continue working on these little guys. Oh yeah, where is he? Mac, where are you? Here you go. This is Mac, the miniature model maker mascot mecha. He's a Gundam artifact, not a Gundam assemble. He's a model kit, a multi-piece, many-piece model kit. That's those are the things that I would rather be spending my time on. My hyper focus. I usually paint things like Space Marines, but I'm quite curious as to what it's like to paint those space goats, maybe in some colors to represent an enclave that broke off like Farsight did. And fuck, that's a lot of Tau. Yes, it is a lot of Tau. Uh, Part of the reason for that is one of my lifetime goals is to have a 6x4 display table, kind of like a train set, with 2 armies on it, and where I build all the terrain and everything. Um, and I'm at the point in life where I don't need socks, I don't need dishes, I don't need pots and pans and things that people could get me for gifts. So it's all Warhammer. So over the years, it's accumulated, and I got lucky with timing as well. So what sort of break off enclave you think you would paint yours as there, Broccoli? Oop, did I forget the belt? Yes, I did. And Pampamusa, the I am the kind of person who would rather invest heavily into a couple, just few armies, than have a lot of smaller ones. Because when you've got one or two really large armies, you've actually got lots of small ones, and it's given me a lot of flexibility to be able to play different play styles, different against different opponents. And if all I had was just one 2,000 points army, and I normally played against somebody who could handle a bunch of battle suits, and then I come up against a dude who's infantry heavy, my battle suits would just wreck them, and it would be a feels bad for everybody involved. Like I could pull 3 Riptides if I wanted to, but that's a dick move, and only is something that I would only do if I talked to a person first. Like we were doing a campaign, like okay, well we've gotten to the point where it's time to bring out the big guns, so I'm going to pull out all the Riptides go ahead and make a list that can handle it, type of thing. Iron Warriors this works more in tandem with a steampunk feudal planet of people. That's awesome. That would be so cool. Yeah, I like that idea. You could use Caradron overlords for drones. Hmm. Yeah, I think a lot of people have been taking their hiatus. You know, honestly, what what got me into Warhammer again, if you want to call it that, it was boarding actions. I had played some in 8th. I started towards the end of 8th. Played a little bit of ninth, and the guy I was playing with and I were like, no, we don't really like this, and stopped playing. But then when the boarding actions compendium came out, so not the Arcs of Omen campaign books, but the actual game mode combined rules came out, and I got a good look at them. I was like, oh yeah, I like that. That's 500 points, cool terrain, Space Hulk interior. That's my new final, and that's my final game. I I bought the rule book. I bought 2 boxes of the terrain, so I can do gigantic dungeon crawl type stuff. More like an RPG than tabletop game. And that's it. I don't need to get any more. All right, let me get caught up here. So, trying to get into the trap of just having. It's my first army since I've gotten back in the hobby after a long hiatus, so trying not to get into the trap of having just a big pile of unpainted. Yes. And I was also thinking about getting those spider-like walkers from the Dark Mechanicum. Yeah. Oh, that's really neat. At the bottom of the drones, the Tau battle suits. Yes, yes, yes. That's exciting. If they ever come out with a proper Dark Mechanicum army, I may be in trouble. May. But one of the probably the biggest danger point I've got for myself right now is that Sylvaneth Battle Force. So I'm not a fan of the look of the Cruton Vespid. I think it's cool that they're there as part of the lore and stuff, and they've got some neat use on the table. I just don't like the look of them. However, these guys are on a forest planet with some canon. There's some warp weirdness going on the planet in canon. It's not my own story coming up. And I thought, how cool would it be to have tree people get Sylvaneth and proxy them as Crete and Vespid? Because I love the way the Sylvaneth look. They are cool. And if I had ever gotten into AOS, it would have been playing Sylvaneth. Well, So let's talk about Dark Mechanicum and Iron Warriors. The Vashtor, totally missed opportunity. 100%, right there. It's like you've got a chaos god all about technology. Why aren't the Iron Warriors going around with raging hard-ons like Vashtor, Vashtor, Vashtor? He's our man. If he can't do it, neither can Fulgrim. I and then Dark Mechanicum with him, and he's just been sitting there kind of out in the middle of nowhere for however long now. They really need to use him, and if I mean, can you imagine an Iron Warriors army instead of cultists? You've got a bunch of servitors instead. Yes, please. Thank you. May I have another? And I actually saw a guy this morning. Who was it? What's the name of the channel? He was trying to figure out the lore and all that for a Chaos Space Marine army, and it was like, okay, I like Iron Warriors. I really like Vashtor. So how can I make Vashtor work? And then he was like, okay, Iron Warriors and Dark Mechanicum. How can I make all that work? And it was, ooh, yeah, they got my creative juices flowing. I will never say never. I won't I won't get a full army, and by army I mean at least 2,000 points. I'm sticking to combat patrol boarding actions sized stuff now. But not gonna lie, it would be very cool to be able to have like an Iron Warriors slash Mechanicum boarding patrol. Vashtor is busy right now getting a weapon from the War in Heaven, but I'm pretty sure Perturabo is becoming a little more like. That would be neat. That would be cool too. It's it's been a little while since they've released a Primarch. I guess we'll have to wait to see what the quarter 3 profits are like. They might need a little quick cash injection. I know that the 11th edition box is very likely to be orcs. I would be very happy to see if they did oh, Iron, not Iron Warriors. Who's the Imperial? Is it the Fists that are like the Iron Warriors? The Fists are the Siege guys, and the Iron Warriors are the Siege Breakers. Yeah, okay. So like a Imperial Fist versus no, Iron Hands. Iron Hands. An Iron Hands versus Iron Warriors slash Dark Mechanicum box for 11th edition. That would send me to a happy place. Oh, that's that's interesting. The last any major input on Vashtor that I have heard was the Arcs of Omen campaign stuff. Because I, as a rule, I don't play named characters in my armies. So I don't really. I mean, if I'm listening to Oculus Imperia or something and the lore pops up about them, sure, I'll listen. But I don't, it doesn't stick. I don't retain it as much. But it would be really cool to see Vashtor get some sort of new oomph, a little more lease on life, because he would be so good for supporting secondary factions. Secondary, I mean, secondary as in it's not an ultramarine Black Legion type thing. Although honestly, I'm starting to think that if anything other than an ultramarine is a secondary faction these days. But he does have every piece he needed, meaning he succeeded a lot more than the four. Right? Right? My CSM were originally going to be Slaanesh aligned because that fit the original concept better. But over time, I'm like, no, no, I'm just gonna stick undivided. That suits my style better. Because then I don't have people coming to me like, well, it's Slaanesh, but why aren't they Emperor's children? Because I didn't want them to be Emperor's children. I just wanted them to be Slaanesh aligned. They're evil pirate raider reavers. That was the wrong. Oops, I just screwed up, guys. Oh well. Just one little bit on a leg. Doesn't matter. I swear these belts are the hardest part about this whole process. What I really do want to see, though, are those warp talons. Specifically the warp talons, not the raptors. I want to see that whole box built as warp talons. Because the day that kill team got leaked, I had filmed a CSM video and was talking with my friend, like, I think I don't know if I should do these as raptors or as warp talons, because I've already got 10 raptors and 10 more on sprue. And I was like, I know as soon as I mention this, we're going to get an update. And damned if I wasn't right. Demon Primarch Perturabo, when he'd be the kind to yoink that juice out of Bashtor's hands so he himself can be what Bashtor wanted to be. Rivalry? I don't know. I mean, he's already a Demon Primarch. He's already ridiculously strong. And as fun as it is to think about that, like what would happen if Perturabo were to steal the magic juice? He'd become a Chaos God, and they can't have that. Abaddon and Gilliman have to be the number ones in their factions. You can't have a Perturabo of all Primarchs coming back and be like, "Yep, I'm a god now." That would piss off too many regular customers. I think it would be interesting to see if Ashtor did become a fifth god, like who would be devoted to him. The Iron Warriors, Dark Mechanicum seem to be the clear winners there. So a Ashtor Perturabo alliance, I think, would honestly make a cool story. But also, I need to be realistic here. They made a Ashtor model. If they make him a god, he's no longer playable on the tabletop, so he won't be ever reach apotheosis. Not unless we start getting models for all of the actual other gods. And then, well, just forget it. Yeah, successfully. Yes, yes, he would. Well, you know what? Okay, so let's think about that. So if Vashtor did become a god, would his model then become the shard of him, like the shards of the Catan? But then we would end up having to have shards of Slanesh and all of them too. Like, yeah, that's just that's so sad. I really do want to see his. I honestly, I just want to see Dark Mechanicum and Iron Warriors come being a thing. Oh, there we go. There's some. Are you still good? Yes, you are. Like a Chaos Knight, sort of. And that's kind of why I've been thinking about it, because the Jericho Reach has a Hellforge world, which gives me some neat background tie-ins to the Dark Mechanicum for my word bearers. Well, my warband. They were originally word bearers. They're not 100% anymore. They have become enlightened. There we go. Um, but I don't know. Get myself a Lord Discordant. Build up all my demon engines and the knight. That would be pretty spiffy. But for now, let me think about the Tau. I can't get myself too excited about other factions, or else I'll want to get distracted, and I can't have that. I mean, you could, but that again, like that would just make the universe smaller. They've never been able to fully manifest in the material plane. Why now? Except for money. They need to stay where they are. Bringing all the Primarchs back, potentially bringing chaos, the shards of Chaos Gods back, shard of the Emperor, or whatever, onto the tabletop will just make the whole galaxy small. Those big foundational characters need to stay in the background. They need to stay big and foundational and mysterious. Because like any good dungeon master knows, if you put stats on it, you can kill it. And okay, I killed a shard of the Emperor, killed a shard of a Chaos God. These supposedly infinite beings. That just makes. How many these belts have I forgotten? We still need to have wonder and mystery and big big things in the verse. I think Warhammer is best when it's telling a story of small engagements. The side stories or the side battles. Maybe maybe you were on ball when the High Fleet came, but your squad was out in the ass end of the desert and not part of any of the large offensives and things. Like what's the story of that? I think that's a lot more meaningful and on scale for an army. Like sure, you can do the campaign of the devastation of Baal, but you better be ending off with 8,000 points at least. It's got to end with a big bang. And that's not practical for almost anybody. The first role-playing game I played seriously was Robotech, based off of the old cartoon that was on when I was a kid. And that was one of the points Kevin Shimbieta brought up when he was writing it out. Telling stories. Yeah, you can be Rick or Max or Miria if you want and do the main story. But think of all the other little side stories. You can be a side character in the hero's story, or you can be the hero of your story in a different place. And I would rather be the hero of the Ascend Desert than just another, blood angel that didn't get eaten at the end there. They got saved by girly men. Did my did my rant and rambling turn everybody off? I just looked up and was like, oh, no new comments. Oh, nope, nobody's there. I get it. Watching me paint belts and straps is not the most enthralling thing. I'm all good. You so doing live on YouTube is weird compared to Twitch. Like I watching the it's got a view times concurrent viewers count, average view time count, and then a graph of numbers of people, concurrent viewers, and it fluctuates hugely. So I'm like, oh, I just looked up and there's one concurrent viewer. Oh, now there's three. Now, like, is that people coming in and out, or is that just YouTube being strange? How long have we been going? It's been. I don't see a timer. Oh, there you go. Almost 2 hours. That's pretty good. No wonder I'm wanting to get up. Okay. Do my idiot check because I do get sidetracked while talking to folks and forget to paint belts and things. Oh, there's more gold. Buggered eye. Yeah, they're getting one coat. That's good enough. As long as the color is there enough to be seen. Okay, I think. Let me think about this for a second. What's my next step? What should my next step be? Cleaning up. So, just for those of you who are interested, oh, and buggered eyes. I forgot. I've had these things for ages, and I forgot I had them, and started using them recently. And boy, do they make a huge difference. I can actually hold it under the camera and be more comfortable and see better. While this stuff is drying, let me go through my color scheme. How I'm how I paint all these guys. So here's the broadside. That's my standard for tabletop. And it starts off with a black primer and then a nocturne green base. Um, I yeah, I sprayed nocturne green over, trying to stick to the the armor panels, but I wasn't too fluffed if I got off. And then all of the internals get painted black and dry brushed with Iron Warriors, the darker metallic. I can't find the pot, but it's Iron Warriors metal, whatever that's the actual full name is. And then possibly a little bolt gun metal on top of that. And Nocturne green, and then this green is Lorn Forest that I sponge over everything. The missiles are Morghast bone with a little bit of Xandri dust over it. Over the green, I use AK's Dark Grime for dark green vehicles. And that's part of the painting. It's the way I like to paint is, you know, dark and grimy, but I am using where are you? Here you go. We'll pull you out here a little bit easier to see. So this guy started out looking like that, but I used the streaking grime both to darken the green down to the point I liked it, and as a wash, a grime, and color modulation. So it's part of the paint scheme. And then I use just regular streaking grime for the browns and the metals here. And then everything got a dry brush of Xandri dust, 50-50 Xandri dust and Lorn Forest green, to just redefine the panels. Because after it's grimed down, it looks just kind of monotonous, even after a removal pass. It needs a little bit of edge redefinition. But I don't want to edge highlight these guys. That's not a look I'm going for. I want the grimy, war-torn, war-worn piece of equipment. But it does need a little bit of something. And then Tamiya black panel liner, enamel panel liner. I like enamels. I like being able to manipulate the paints and remove them. The guns are black with a little bit of Nocturne green on it. I don't go too crazy with the coating. And then just a neat straight shot of the streaking grime to get that color. That's pretty much it. And then the sept, the cast symbol, the sept color is sun. Which is the darker one? It's Lupercal green and Sons of Horus green, but I can't remember which one goes down first. I think it's Lupercal green as the base coat. And I like the thought of using a little cheeky Sons of Horus and Lupercal green mixed with, yeah, it's Lupercal first and then Sons of Horus over it, along with Nocturne on a Xenos race. You know, to get my little touch of heresy in there. My little, the tower, the good guys, and the salamanders are the real good guys. Yeah, but we're gonna just kiss you. Just give you a slight kiss of chaos. But that's that. Pretty simple paint scheme. Oh, and the cloth gets a little bit of Morghast bone on the folds as well. I try to keep it simple, doable, manageable. And then once the whole army is done, and if I feel like going through and adding significant amounts of details to things, then I will. Alright, what else do we have here now? The green, the brown. Oh boy. 1 o'clock? Ooh. Well, y'all, I think I need to stop this. My wife is going to be home in a couple hours, and I want to get a few things done before she does. But I'm pretty happy with the progress. That was all right. So again, looking at the Pathfinder that is my standard for getting these guys up to. We're pretty close. Yeah, I'd say we just need to do the cast symbol. And then I can do and clean up, touch up and do the cast symbol, touch up, and then I can do all the washing and highlighting and everything at the same time. And get all the rest of my infantry done so I can go back and work on this guy. Farside Enclave are the most morally sound out of everyone. I hate that I have to agree with that. Yep, you are not wrong. And I think that's probably why he's so popular. And one of the I am not a fan of the Farside Enclaves at all. It doesn't mean I'm not a huge fan of the Ethereals either, but I just it's like sports teams. I've lived in places where certain sports teams are just so prevalent and so overwhelming that they get shoved down your throat. It's like if you live here, you've got to be I don't know, a Dallas Cowboys fan, and it just gets rammed down your throat. And I hate that. And Farsight was similar to me with the Tau. It's like, oh, you play Tau? Are you going to do Farsight, Nearsight, Astigmatism? No, I'm not. I'm doing my own thing. But that constant ramming Farsight down my throat just gave me a really bad taste in my mouth about the character in the faction. And it doesn't help that he was super meta for a long time. Crimson Fists are bloody close, though, especially Pedro Kentor when it comes to morals. Yeah. They're. I would say Crimson Fists, Salamanders, possibly Dark Krakens, if they're their not succession, whatever their follow-up chapter is, and Farsight are probably the three most morally sound groups in the setting. But isn't moral conundrums and moral gray areas, what we like about 40K? Isn't that what makes it exciting for everyone? It's like, yeah, okay, it could be this, or could be that. Maybe, maybe not. Hmm. That's that's part of it. What interests me is how how it can get you to question morality and all of that in dystopia. Even Gilliam is a fan. Yes. Coming from a Primarch that looked at Lorgar and Angron in the same spot and still grinned at fighting them both. Yeah. Lorgar Lorgar is my boy. He's a real prick, but he's still my boy. 40K needs heroes. 40K needs some some little bit of light in the darkness just to make the darkness even more wretched and overbearing. I think the setting needs that, and it's good for the health of Erebus. Erebus, yeah. Not a fan of Erebus. Not a fan of Corferon. What what draws me to the word bearers is Lorgar and the conflict between nature versus nurture and the philosophical conundrums and paths that you can go down thinking about all of the Primarchs. Well, this is because he's a raging bastard. He is irredeemable. There is nothing good about Erebus. Not one thing. Um, the the setting needs people like him too. You know, everybody needs someone to hate. Even I hate Erebus. And I think that's a good thing. But Erebus steals Vashtor's juice. No, 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 God, no. That would be pretty funny though. Talk about how many. I wonder how many people would quit 40K for good if that actually happened. If Erebus became the god because he stole Vashtor's juice. Shit. I would be like, okay, well, you know what? What was the most recent edition where that wasn't the case? That's the last one I'm going to play. I'm going to stick with 10th edition. No more. I don't want 11th edition because Erebus becomes a god. And I highly advocate for finding your favorite edition of the game and sticking to it as well. That is a path to joy, not a path to sadness. But I am going to go. I want to do some adult things like laundry and stuff. But thank you very much for chatting with me, you guys. Broccoli, I think you're the last one here. And all of you folks who have stopped by to see what's going on, I appreciate it. Broccoli, if you haven't, please do go subscribe over to my channel and check out the Tau Army video. It's an hour and a half long, and there's a lot of philosophical rambling and stuff in it. But you may appreciate that. And let me see. You know what? Let me see if I can find something here. I think it might be unlisted and not private though. YouTube. Let's go to Studio. Check my channel. View my channel. Content, videos, playlists, archive. Okay, here. I removed this video. I put this video into an archive so I could redo it and add some more pertinent content to it. But there's a link to my Chaos Space Marine Army overview too. So if you want to see that, check it out. But again, I have been Phil the Miniature Model Maker, coming to you today painting Tau, where I got skin and hooves and belts and cast symbols, base coated, prepared for base coating on all of these guys, and had fun chatting with some new friends. Thank you very, very much for your time and attention. And remember, folks, that this is a hobby. If it doesn't bring you joy, don't do it. Or find a way that does bring you joy. Be good to yourselves, okay? Bye-bye.